Okay, good evening, people of the Commonwealth. Commonwealth, the Lord is gonna be dealing with you. He's gonna be dealing with you. We've got a lot of things to talk about today. Now I've been delaying. God has been pressurizing me to make these videos, and we are talking to the Commonwealth because, according to the Spirit of God, He is giving the responsibility of restoring Zimbabwe in the hands of the British Commonwealth. Okay, this is not my decision, it is the decision of the Holy Spirit. Yes, I always hear what the Lord say and I prophesy it on this channel. And there's a lot of things that the Lord say I must talk about. I should have made a video 2 hours ago, but then I had to do some research on some other things that I had to that I thought I had to be aware of. But God is putting pressure. Okay, first thing we want to talk about the economic policy. Okay, proposed economic policy for the new Zimbabwe. All right. Okay. Having said that, God is going to use the Commonwealth, the British Commonwealth, to deliver a new Zimbabwe. If you know what that means, a new Zimbabwe, a new dispensation. Okay, and therefore the Lord is already thinking about the new economic policy for the new government, and He has been putting it in my mind what kind of government we should be running and how we should run it. Okay. Zimbabwe has got a foreign debt crisis. We owe somewhere around 12 billion US dollars to international donors, including IMF, Paris Club, China, and other creditors around the world. And that debt is unsustainable. It has been ballooning since the exit of Robert Mugabe government in 2017. The debt has more than doubled. And according to the Emerson Mnangagwa regime, nobody really, according to them, the regime of Emerson Mnangagwa, they use the money for building dams, increasing capacity of the Wange Korea power station, also the hydroelectric power station. They also built the Robert Mugabe Airport, and also the dams that they say they are building. But it's been 4 years. These projects have not yielded any economic value to the country. And also talking about energy crisis, the still an energy crisis, even though one of them, they spent 1.2 billion US dollars on a hydro project, which is not really yielding much, I guess. And also, in an unprecedented move, the government announced a few years ago $5 billion that they had to pay white farmers. They call it some white farmers initiative of some sort, repaying money to the white farmers who lost their farms in the late 1990s, the farm invasion by Shanjarai Honzo. But, well, we do not know if 5 billion is what is needed for that, and we are not aware of any white farmers that have received up to $5 billion. That's a lot of money. Okay, so, and also the Zimbabwean parliament is not aware of some of the government borrowings, or when the government borrowed and on why the government borrowed, where the money was spent on. We just know that the debt has ballooned to $13 billion, but there is not much accountability on really what did the money go to. All right, so you can draw your own conclusion as to where the money went to, but as far as as the Zimbabweans are concerned, we do not know where the money went to. So our debt has doubled ever since Robert Mugabe left, but nobody knows where the money went to. And even though we've had this debt, which is probably over like 8 million since the Emerson Mnangagwa regime, 8 billion dollars, the country is still struggling. So God is very much concerned about that. That's why He wants me to say this thing, even though I always want to have all my figures right. But the Lord will say, hey, when I tell them what I told you, all right, here's the thing. So if we look at the economy of Zimbabwe, it is in tatters. So we need to construct, therefore, make an ideal Zimbabwe, construct it from scratch, and starting with the most important things and building the way up. So one of the most important thing that we have to build in Zimbabwe, okay, we have to look at, first of all, before I talk about that, I need to talk about the people that a new government has to recognize that it is inheriting a people that are in extreme poverty, right? People need food, people need health attention. So a new government therefore needs to have a program of a feeding program, providing food to the vulnerable in society, providing health services to the vulnerable in society. That is just an immediate measure to any government that begins to govern today in Zimbabwe. That's the first thing you have to do, because people do not have food to eat. Some of them, our poverty rate now is 40% of the population. So that is an agency. I would suggest, as the Lord had told me a few months ago, that actually that new government must use the army. So the national army must go around the country feeding people in schools, primary schools, cooking food, okay, and capacitating the clinics. The army has got other skills besides just shooting people. They've got teachers, they've got doctors, they've got nurses, they've got builders, all sorts of skills that are needed in the economy. So that which the government is going to do, God said to me, you must use the army, because when you do that, when you use the army, you actually bridge that relations between the army and the people. Remember, in Zimbabwe, the relationship between the people and the army has been strangled. So you need that relationship to be rebuilt, and so that's why you would need to use the army there. So now, okay, those are just the immediate needs that a new government needs to pay attention to. Now let us talk about really building the economy. The founding block, or the building blocks, I'm going to look at two things: energy, water, right, healthcare, and education. All right. So these are the four key areas that the Lord was speaking to me about, that the new government must focus on these key areas. Now we're talking about building the economy of Zimbabwe, from where it's coming from. Now I'm going to explain each and every single one of them, what is a policy that we need to adopt in order to get these four in proper working condition. For any meaningful economic growth to take place, there must be electricity in the country. All right. Enough electricity for the whole nation. And there must be clean water provided throughout the whole country. And the healthcare services must be up to scratch. And also education is really the key driver even for future development. Another thing that I forgot right at the bottom is road construction, and at the end, infrastructure development. And I know that the roads is infrastructure, but I put it specifically, special one here as the fifth one after education. So as I said, that you will need energy, electricity, you need the water, you need to fix the healthcare, you need to fix the education system, and to fix the roads. All right. Once we have all those things intact, then they can be meaningful development. They can be meaningful infrastructure development. So you're not going to have infrastructure development when there is no water in the country, there's no electricity, nobody wants to invest. The reason why people develop infrastructure is because it is now private capital that is willing to invest in the country. So you see that in Zimbabwe right now, the only infrastructural development that we have is private housing, and it is private people who buy their houses or build their houses because they were born in Zimbabwe. They've got no choice than to build houses in Zimbabwe anyway. They're not building those houses so that they can stay there. No, they stay in UK, USA, South Africa, wherever, but they send back money home to build those houses because it's what is their home. So that's not the infrastructural development I'm talking about. I'm talking about whereby the economy begins to actually take a leap forward. It is when foreign investors come to build big buildings for office space, for hotels and stuff like that, because they are seeing that the economy is now running. So for the economy to run those fundamental things, the country should be able to provide for electricity, proper electricity and water and healthcare, education and road infrastructure. So these are the things that we need primarily to put into place. And then I'm gonna come and I'm gonna go back and talk about how are we going to how are we going to fund that. All right, so I will look now. Let's go to the economy. I said I will go back to the funding model for the energy sector, the funding model for the water infrastructure, for the healthcare, education and road construction. So now I want to go to the economy, therefore economic development. Okay, so once we have funded those, the above, which I said I will explain how we will find them, we are going to take a look at the economy of Zimbabwe and begin to develop it through, first of all, developing the mining sector. Okay, the mining sector, number one. Oh, mining sector. Let me get a better pen. These cheap pens. Mining sector and also agricultural sector. Then I'll explain how these two can help us in building this economic development model. In the mining sector, all right, you discover that that is actually the biggest sector in the Zimbabwean economy right now. It is one of the biggest contributors to the national fiscus. So and it is not difficult to develop a mining sector because mining is usually undertaken by international mining companies that have got their own private capital to exploit the resources that are in the land. However, it is the prerogative of the government that is in power to ensure that there is a fair contribution to the national fiscus by these international companies, whether in paying their taxes, also in providing local jobs and helping in environmental management after the extraction of the minerals. So the mining sector is very easy to work on. As I said, that because most of the investment is foreign investment, so government doesn't need billions of dollars to invest in this mining sector. It actually needs to create an enabling environment for a large scale miners, okay, to participate in the Zimbabwean landscape. All right, now, and also making sure that we actually get the full potential as far as tax revenue is concerned, because that is of ultimate importance. And then you do also get other medium scale miners who might usually would be local miners. So those are the ones that they also use their own private capital, by the way. That so we just need to have that enabling environment, and also a fair environment where where there is a rule of law, because the mayhem that is in Zimbabwe is one of the reasons why the mining sector is underdeveloped and it is failing to grow, because there's no rule of law. There's this thing of Tinotora. If people ordinary Zimbabweans get their minds taken away from those that are politically connected, those kind of things, that kind of rule of law is what we need to work on, so that there can be fairness in the land. And if there is fairness, you will see that there will be a much more broader distribution of wealth in as far as this is concerned. Because you see, one of the things that we do not want to create in any economy is an economy that is got that is concentrated on a few hands. All right. Robert Mugabe used to complain in the 90s about the 5,000 or 4,000 white farmers who control 80% of the land. I remember when I was young, that's all he ever spoke about. But as you can see now in the mining sector in Zimbabwe, you will see that there is a concentration of the mineral wealth in a few Zimbabwean hands. I'm not talking about the international miners, I'm just talking about the local hands. There are a few, and we do know now that when you do get maybe a good gold output, ZANU-PF people will come and take it away from you. If your mine is making money, they just come and take it away from you. So you will see that there will be an ever increasing a concentration of money in a few people, and when they make excessive profits, super profits, because of using their political capital, that money that they get, they do not even bank it within the Zimbabwean banking system, because that banking system is already destroyed. So that money is banked in Malaysia, in wherever they, in Singapore, or in Mauritius, in other tax havens, where they develop the economies of other countries instead of developing our country. You see, because that money, most of it is stolen or is gotten through it's ill-begotten revenues. So therefore, it is not kept in the country; it is hidden somewhere else. Also, the fact that even even the management of the management of the economy itself of the country, the management of the currency, and then the whole economy is so poor that they take their money outside the country. You understand? But on the contrary, had we had fair rules, you will get to see that in the mining sector we will have more people, a broad based, brought a number of people that own mines or who make money from minerals. If we've got, if you increase that space, all right, the number of people that make money, instead of having a few, concentrating to a few people, you will have a much more robust economy. You see, you will begin the economic cake begin to be spread out to more people, and the propensity to save money in foreign nations is less if their proceeds are much more equitable and much more broad-based. So the people who make money are much more likely to buy houses and cars and food and clothes in Zimbabwe. But if one person is making money that is supposed to be made by 100 people, you can only buy one house, one car, one you can eat one meal. You can eat only 3 meals a day. The rest of the money you bank it outside. Do you get the picture what I'm saying? Like if let's just say there's $1 million to make, okay, and 100 people will share 10,000 each, they are most likely to spend the whole 10,000 in 1 month. Okay, so there will be $1 million spent in the economy by 1,000 people, each spending $10,000 each. Okay, but if all that money is concentrated on one person, that person makes 1 million, they will not spend 1 million, okay, a month. They will spend 10,000, just like the rest of the others, and the other 990,000 will be lost to the economy. The economy will lose 990,000. So that's the problem with this monopoly capital. Okay, a narrow what you call it, this narrow distribution of economic wealth. It creates an unequal society, is unsustainable, and the government cannot pay its debt properly because they've got political power. These people, they are able to evade taxation. So there's a lot of tax revenue lost. See, there's a multiple walls. Okay, there's multiple leakages because of not fixing the mining sector. I mean, I could have do a whole video just on the mining sector. Okay, so we need to get the mining sector fixed in Zimbabwe and make it more broad-based to benefit more people. And even on the lowest end of the scale, talking about the artisanal mining guys who actually who always kill each other because some of them are politically connected, some of them are not, even if they are not politically connected, but they kill each other anyway because they are struggling. Understand what I'm talking about? If you have got a rule of law, there can be a way in which you can work this thing out, have a proper mining policy that really would generate revenue for the country. And if we get that right, then you will see that there will be a lot of contribution to the national fiscus. Okay, and I know that we're gonna get some more diamonds in the country. God told me that there's more diamonds, but he's keeping them secret. He's keeping them hidden so that the right people can come into play. There's also oil in Zimbabwe. I know that we have discovered oil in Zaraban. There's some more. There's more oil in the country. God has already told me that, but he's waiting for the right people in government for those things to come out of the ground. We'll get them. So when we get that, then we'll have enough revenues in our fiscal so that we can support or fund some of these economical fundamental projects that we're talking about. These projects that I spoke of: the energy, water, healthcare, education, road construction. Those ones are the bedrock of any economic growth. So therefore we need to get them. Okay, we need to get them right. The other sector that we're looking at in this economic development model is the agricultural sector. The second sector is agricultural sector. Okay, it has got two purposes. First of all, it is for food security, personal food security, like helping subsistence farmers. But on a bigger picture, is actually to secure the food for the country and also have a surplus food so that we can supply other countries as well, and also keep some for future use. So you need to achieve food independence. Therefore, the agricultural sector is very paramount in developing. And I am aware that the current government is already on that on that path of actually improving the agricultural sector. But it seems like that is the only thing that they are doing. So yeah, I know that the government is also busy with irrigation, making sure that we have got the irrigation in place, and also a massive dam construction. Okay, which is one of the things that God spoke to me about 2 to 3 weeks ago. So that if you really want to get the rural vote, you must make sure that we have got massive dam construction across the whole country, not just in Mashonaland land or in places where the people will speak your language, but everywhere, in every single village. And there must be dams. People mustn't be spending their own money to construct their dams. I know where I come from in Plumtree, people are putting together money, their own personal money, to build their own dams. I mean, these are the things that a national government should be doing, not the people. So yeah, we need to be building large dams there, and so that they can be irrigation across the country, and large, massive water storage facilities, massive dams, not just smaller dams, but also very big dams across the provinces. It should be a priority, because talking about climate change imperatives, you will see that at some point in the future there might be 3 or 4 years of drought in a country, or in a part of in one region of the country. So you will need to have water that we have stored over time, and even during times of floodings and cyclones, you will need to have the capacity to fill up those water storage facilities. So now I think we're 24 minutes now. Should I go to the policy. Should I go to the funding? No, I think I'll do it on the second video. I will speak about the funding strategy for an energy independent Zimbabwe. Okay, proper water, healthcare, education, road construction. I'll do that in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. If you have got anything to comment, please comment below what you think about the policies that we're talking about. All right, thank you very much.